Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you guys all had a great Christmas break. I was scheduled to go live on Friday, actually. My son was sick. We actually ended up taking him to the emergency room on Friday night, just before I was going to go live, actually, like an hour and a half or something like that. So that's why we didn't do one on Friday. Unfortunately, son is fine. He got diagnosed with rhinovirus or something like that. Had to run his course, and it did. He's feeling much better right now, which is good, but we were just a little freaked out. Other than that, what else happened? Bitcoin's flat. Miners had kind of a rough day on Friday for trading. I mean, there were some in the green, some in the red. Wasn't all that bad. Silver has been continuing to pump here. Gold's been pumping here. Markets have been pumping in general. They're getting to new all-time highs as well. Other than that, that's basically it here. We got the end of the year happening here with the next couple of days. So we'll take a look at just what's going on with Bitcoin right now. When do I think it's going to start rallying? I think it's going to start rallying here probably at the beginning of the new year, but we'll see. And then we'll also take a look at the miners, the latest short data that we have on them, along with how they performed last week compared to Bitcoin. And at that point, we'll get into Q&A. And we're going live early today because, well, the Bears are playing later on at like 7:20 or something like that. I want to watch the game here, and I knew it was going to be a long game for them. So I knew I was going to be tired and doing the stream later on. So we are where we are. As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for them only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's see what we got going on here with Bitcoin right now. It's having a nice little, well, I wouldn't say nice rally, but it is up nonetheless. So if we look at Bitcoin here on the chart here, we can see that we were up on Friday a little bit. We were up just 0.14% on Friday. We were up a little bit on Saturday, 0.59% there. We were up just a little bit here on today, which is Sunday, 0.08%. We were in the red for most of the day. Finally got up to in the green spot here. And then today we're also, a new day for Monday, we're up a little bit as well, 0.3% right now. We're still in this kind of triangle right now, right? We're seeing higher lows, which is good. And then we've been kind of in this triangle here. I think once we break out of this triangle, it's either going to go to the upside, which I think is going to be the case here, or if we actually break below this, we might be going down lower. I give that a much smaller percentage chance of that happening. I think the rally here will continue going up higher here. The reason I say that is because we are at like 80 some odd days right now from the peak where we were back in October 6th of this year. At what was the peak at that point? I think the high we got to 126,296. That was the high at that point, and it's taken us basically 80, a little bit over 80 some odd days here, 82, 83 days now, in this kind of downward spiral more or less on it. Last time we had a downtrend like this before, where we had a correction of 30%, was back here, right? This was going all the way back to when Bitcoin basically peaked here in January of this year, 2025. Hard to imagine that. On the 20th of January, and then took us all the way through April, which was also another like 78, 80 days here in total, to where we bottomed out and we finally came back up here. So if that is the case here, where we saw right a top here, a top there, we saw the same thing here, a top here, a top there, and then a relatively, well, I wouldn't say quick correction, but a similar correction at least in the price action of Bitcoin here, being down 30% plus a little bit. But this could be the end of it here. We might actually, like I said, maybe at the beginning of the year, once we hit New Year, we start rallying here. In the meantime, we're probably going to be, somewhere bound in this range here a little bit for a couple more days. And then after that, things should possibly do better for us. At least that's what I'm thinking here, based on what I'm seeing here. Plus things we're going to talk about here shortly as well, how as others are seeing it also, that they think that the rally is coming here for Bitcoin, and it might actually outperform gold and like silver next year. We'll talk about that here in a second. All right, miners, like I said, for the most part, didn't do too well on Friday. They were all down in the red there, except for one. Kango was only up there on it. So we're not going to go through that right now. We're not going to rehash that. But you can see Friday, there was a lot of red in the markets overall. At that point, I also saw definitely manipulation happening again right around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on Bitcoin on Friday. Dumped back down here, so we saw that happening as well. And miners right now are not, I don't think we're having any new data on these guys, how they're trading in pre-hours right now. I think that's coming up December 26th. Yeah, that's still old. That doesn't happen until like 7 o'clock, 7:30, or 8 o'clock at that point. All right, let's see here. So we talked about that. We talked about Bitcoin here a little bit, what's going on there. As far as Bitcoin right now for the month of December, we are still down 3.06% on it overall. For the month, for the quarter, we're down 23% here. Has not been great, right? So we've had Q2 was pretty good for us. Q3 was okay for us. And then Q4 right now is, well, not great. So, well, that is what it is. We can't change it. As far as the Bitcoin ETFs, we saw a lot of outflows happening last week on December 18th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, even 25th as well. We saw all those outflows happening there at that point. So that wasn't a great week for us, and we're seeing a heck of a lot more red here on this chart or this table as it is going a couple of days back. The Fed tool for seeing where we might be in with rates happening in January, we went up a little bit to 18.3. We were at 14.8, I think we were at one point last week. So that's bumped up a little bit here. I still think we're going to get rate cuts here, right? We saw the what was it? Not the CPI data. What was the other data that came out? GDP data came out last week. We were at 4.3. Estimates were at like 3.3 or something like that. So we did much better than the analyst estimates were for the GDP. And there's obviously some people saying that we might have like double-digit GDP next year potentially. So that would be great. All right. A couple of good news stories that we do have here. Some things are going to be happening here this week. We got November pending house sales data on Monday, Fed meeting minutes on Tuesday, initial jobless claims data on Wednesday, China silver export restrictions begin Thursday, and then U.S. stock market closed. Happy New Year. That's obviously going to be Thursday, and then December S&P global manufacturing PMI data comes out on Friday. So it should be another action-packed week there going forward for this week. This is from Plan C here, right? The Bitcoin bottom is in, question mark. He's got dots here where you can see on this chart, the RSI, BTC versus gold here. You can see all those dots down here as well. And each time we've had those dots, Bitcoin has rallied at that point. So we are really close to that as well. Which is kind of one of those little tidbits that makes me think that we are getting close to a bounce here from where we were. Plus just seeing what we've seen here historically, at least within the last couple months as well, what's happening with it. It's held up pretty well above the 80,000 mark, which is good. But this is just another little, little bullet pin, little pin there on where we could possibly go forward here. And if this holds to be true, then we should have a little rally here, or maybe a big rally going forward as well. This one I think also is good for us here, breaking Bitcoin to outperform gold and the S&P 500 in 2026 per Pi market. So they got Bitcoin versus gold versus S&P in 2026. They believe Bitcoin, 41% believe Bitcoin will outperform gold and S&P 500 there. So that's going to be a good year for us potentially in 2026. Michael says he's going to be buying probably, if he hasn't already bought, he'll be buying probably tomorrow or something like that. We'll get another dot on his chart tracker as well for the Bitcoin that they bought in at that point. And then here's another one of these that's showing the same thing, right? Every time we get copper, or this is copper gold ratio RSI, same thing. We get a bottom here on this, and then Bitcoin runs at that point as well. So that should be good news. That's another little metric there we can keep an eye on. Next year, 5 times Bitcoin RSI hit this low. Bitcoin went up 100%, 180,000 incoming here. So we can see the RSI at these points here. Average market path following the last 5 times Bitcoin RSI broke 30. And that's just kind of where we are. So we are heading higher here in the next 80, 90 days or so. Will we get 100% gains? I don't know. It would be nice. I'd be happy with 50% gains from where we are right now, at least. But we are going to be, I think, the sentiment is that we are probably going to be having a pretty good start to the year here. All right, next one, same thing here. There are rare signal popping up on BTC right now. The MACD golden cross on the 3D time frame. Why is this rare? Because the last time we saw this during the major bottom back in April. Are you ready? So, right, golden cross there. We got another golden cross happening here. We should rally here at that point. So that's just another metric to show us that we might be rallying here going forward as well on Bitcoin, which would be good for everything. And then last but not least here, this is from Elon Musk says double-digit GDP growth is coming within 12 to 18 months. So double-digit growth is coming in 12 to 18 months. If applied intelligence is proxy for economic growth, which it should be, triple-digit is possible in 5 years. That would be, I don't know if that would be good or bad, because if you have triple-digit GDP growth, I'm not sure how that would impact the overall economics of the economy at that point. I don't think we've ever seen triple-digit growth in GDP, I don't think. But that would be definitely something to keep an eye on there. Now, as you know, Elon Musk has a lot of thoughts and insight, a lot of the stuff he's right about. Sometimes he's a little delayed on some things. So we'll see if that happens at all, okay? But that would be interesting to watch nonetheless here. All right, so last but not least here, we'll take a look at the miners here, see how they did last week against the Bitcoin and along against strategy as well. We can see here, this is the chart that we look at for these guys from where they are right now from the 52-week lows. Just to kind of zoom out a little bit, see what's going on with them, because if you look at the price action every day, it can be pretty depressing, right? Seeing these things coming down from where they were. But if you zoom out, depending where you want to zoom out, I just zoom out 52 weeks from their bottom to where they are right now. They're still doing really well. So Cypher is still up 716%. IREN is up 686. TeraWolf is up 470%. Hut 8 is up 384. Bitfarms up 268%. Core up 146. Riot 117. Hive 115. Cleanspark 70, almost there 69. BitDeer 57. Kango 24%. Bitcoin's up 17% from its bottom in the 52 weeks. And then Strategy is only up 3%. And Marathon's up only 1.7%. So a lot of these guys have done much, much better here than Bitcoin did this past year, which is nice to see, especially if you got into some of these stocks, right? You're still doing pretty good. Unless you bought in at the tops, then you're probably not too happy about it right now as it is. All right. Next here, we'll take a look at the weekly performance here for last week against all these guys here. So Hut 8 had the best week. It was up 13% here. IREN was up only 1%. Bitcoin was actually down 1%, and I track it Friday to Friday as always. Bitfarms was down 2% along with Core, BitDeer, and then we had Strategy and Hive being down 4%, Marathon and TeraWolf being down 6% along with Cypher. Riot was down 7%, Cleanspark was down 9%, and Kango was down 10% at that point. If we look at the next 4 weeks time frame, Bitcoin is down only 2% here. We got Hut 8 and Kango actually outperforming there, being up 15%. Everybody else has underperformed here. Biggest losers were Cypher being down 21% and Cleanspark down 20%. From 8 weeks ago, things absolutely changed to the worst there. Bitcoin's down 16%. Hut 8 is the only one that's still outperforming there, up 11%. Everybody else is down. TeraWolf is kind of even, at least with Bitcoin there. Kango's down 21%, but the big loser was BitDeer, down 51% at that point, along with Hive being down 42%. And then from the 12 weeks time frame, well, Hut 8 is the only one that has outperformed here. It's up 14%. Bitcoin's down 23%, and Core actually did better. It's down 17. TeraWolf is down 13. Cypher is down only 10. So those have done better, but we've got Hive being down 59%, Marathon 49, Strategy down 48, Cleanspark down 43% from 12 weeks ago. So it has been a rough ride here, but we had a nice rally that we greatly appreciated. We loved when that was happening, but now that things have changed and the sentiment has changed a little bit in this space, because when I think it was a reasonable pullback to have, things got a little too excited, too heated maybe, and a little back to reality. We needed that, but I think eventually next year we'll start rallying up again as things progress and these guys get more deals and things like that. Okay, so that is it on the weekly performance time frame here on these guys. You can see the chart here, or the table, is all red for the most part, except for Hut 8 there, and with IREN having a little green there for last week. Other than that, it was not a great time frame for us. All right, next we're going to take a look at the shorted data that we do have on these guys here. This is as of 12/15. This is the latest short data that I have on them. And here's what we have. So still Marathon being one of the most shorted there. It's at 103%. 103 million shares shorted. So number of shares shorted there. That's the most. TeraWolf at 99 million. You got Cleanspark at 81. You got Bitfarms at 80. And then you got Core at 61 along with Cypher at 59. Riot at 51 million. IREN at 50 million. Then BitDeer at 23. And Hive at 19. Hut at 14. Almost 15 there. Kango at 2.3 million. Now as a percentage of their average floated shares shorted, the percentage for TeraWolf is the most. 38% is shorted there, followed by Cleanspark 33%. Marathon at 27.9, almost 28% there. And then you got quite a few that are close to each other in the 20% range. Core, BitDeer, IREN. Then you got Cypher at 18, Hut at 15, Riot at 14 along with Bitfarms, and Hive at 8, and Kango at 3% as it is right now. Number of shares shorted change from last time. So we can see IREN's down actually, some shares shorted there along with TeraWolf and Bitfarms. Cleanspark's even down a little bit there as well, and Kango too, but we've had a huge increase in share shorted for Hive, Riot, and then a little bit of a Core, Cypher, BitDeer, and Marathon there. You can see that. And then percentage from last time, Hut 8 had a huge increase in shares shorted there. Who else? Riot as well, 8.7% there. And we can see the price action from all these guys from 12 weeks ago, which we kind of covered already, but it's always nice to take a look at this as well, just to see where things are there. Going down here, we get the percentage change over the last 12 weeks short change. Cypher's up the most, 38% from 12 weeks ago, followed by Core, Marathon, Hut 8, IREN even. And Cleanspark's actually down the most. It's down 31% there with BitDeer and Bitfarms being down 12%, and Riot 10%, Kango down 7% along with TeraWolf there, and Hive down 2%. Looking at all these guys here, as far as how do they track here over time, well, looking at BitDeer, we've talked about this, right? 23 million, not a big change there. They did peak at 29 million shares in November. Bitfarms definitely had a huge pump here back in end of October there, it looks like. And that was mainly because of their convertible notes deals and all that other things. I think that's played a big role in that right now for them. And yeah, Kango's pretty, between 1.19 million and 2.34 million. You then have Cypher between 53 million and 59 million, peaked at 64.7 million. Cleanspark was at 70 million end of June there, went down to 57 million, but then we had a spike here happening. I think this is also with the convertible notes. That's a result of that. Core has been between 52 million, peaked at 66 million, down to now 61 million. So still quite a bit there. Hive was at 8.7 million. It just continues to keep going up here. It does have some spikes, goes down, comes back down, spikes on that one. And you got Hut 8 being at 16.8. That one's actually been coming down here as time has progressed. And then you got IREN over time has increased to 59.9 million, down to 50.79 million right now. Marathon, still pretty high. I mean, it continues to be right around 100 million shares shorted on that one. And Riot has been coming down, which is nice. There, a little bit of a bump here in this last report. And then we have this here right now for TeraWolf. TeraWolf also got to 109 million shares shorted, and it's been coming down a little bit there. So we have seen some shorts coming off of these guys, which is good to see. We definitely need a lot more, but they're hedging their bets. A lot of these guys, the institutions that offered them convertible notes, they will hedge their bets and go short on the stock as well. And then, the companies do the capped calls and things like that to try to protect themselves as well at that rate, or buy back shares, which we have seen also. So it is a game that we are in. But in the long run, I still believe that these are great companies, or at least a lot of these guys are great companies. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of these are great companies to possibly hold on a little bit longer here, especially as they continue to get new deals for HPCI data center build-outs and things like that, which will be very, very beneficial to them, not only money-wise, revenue-wise, but also for us as stockholders, as long as they don't dilute like crazy, which we've seen a little bit less dilution here over the last year compared to where we have seen in the past, which is good. So as long as that stays true, then this should also be very good for investors as well. All right, that is it. As always, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. If you want to join there, get access to all this and access to our wonderful Discord server as well. Link for that is down in the description, a couple bucks a month. Okay, that is it. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my tea here. My throat's starting to get dry. I haven't talked in a while, or at least this much in a while. Last time we had this conversation was back on, what was it, Wednesday? Was it Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. Or maybe Tuesday. Maybe it's been that long. Getting out of sorts here. Okay, let's get into Q&A. See what you guys have to say on any of this stuff or everything. There isn't much questions. We'll be pretty short and sweet here. All right, what do we got here? Sadie, thanks so much for the thumbs up here. Kamikaze, I'd love BTC to rally. One can hope. I think it will. I really do think it will in the new year. Momo, wave. Will reach Cleanspark right and Mara reach 23, the previous high, in the next 2 quarters? I think so. I think a lot of these guys will reach that as well. Uncle Satoshi says, great stuff. Thank you, Seb. You're very welcome there. And we got one last one. So Ricky says, if we are going to get a Santa rally, this is the time to do it. You think, right now it's kind of after Santa. We have a couple more days to go. I'd be happy if it just holds the line where it's at right now, and then going to the new year with further rate cuts happening into 2026. Economy's doing pretty good, right? GDP is doing pretty well. Jobs is definitely hurting it a little bit, but that's also a good sign that rate cuts will happen. So I think there's a lot of good things happening. I don't like seeing silver and gold going like crazy and other things. That's kind of odd that they're doing that, but it might be just a way to flush out from Bitcoin into those, and then we'll get a reverse back into Bitcoin eventually, maybe. But I still think that's going to be the case, but time will tell on that one. All right, but that's it. Looks like we've caught up to all you guys and gals, questions, comments, and things like that. I don't see anything else popping up here, so we're going to call it a day, this is probably the shortest stream that I've ever done. It's only 20 minutes long so far. That is impressive there. Oh, we got a couple more coming in here. It's Uncle Sushi says, next short report date is December 30th. How will that impact the window dressing on the 31st? I don't know. I usually don't get that data until like a couple days out, at least 7 to 14 days out. I think it's usually like 7 to 10 days out. After that, it's when I actually see it on the app that I'm using here. So I don't know what that's going to impact. But as far as the coming couple days here. Like I said, I hope things just stay where they are right now. I'll be happy with that. Ricky says, historically, from the 27th December to the first week in January is like a stand-up rally at that point. Then, okay, bring it on. I mean, Bitcoin is going up here a little bit. It's up, let me see here. Where's it up right now? Bitcoin, where's it at? Nah, it's up 0.5 percentage point, so up, maybe we are getting that little rally there. That'd be fine. Okay. And Neojo, why the weakness last Friday? We've had weakness almost every single Friday here. If you go back the last, I would say, several weeks, several months, there's been just weakness. There's been a lot of options expiring as well. That doesn't bode well for us. But it's still, you know, Bitcoin held up. It got down to 80,000 and bounced off of that. It's been holding above 85,000 here for quite a while, which is a good sign for us. I think this is where we kind of bottomed out here, and I think we'll continue to go back up higher at that point. All right. Show the chart. Connor says, show a chart of silver futures today just for fun. I know it's up like $84 right now. I saw that a while ago. Let me see if I can pull that up. Bear with me while I see if I can pull this up. Let's see. Silver. All right. Silver futures chart. Let's see what we got here. Silver futures. Okay. Oh, I guess we could take a look at this. Let's see. Market summary. Will this pop up? Let's see. Well, all right. Let's do this. This should work. So here it is. Market summary silver's futures. 77. I think it was like 80 some odd dollars at one point, wasn't it? That I saw. This is in the 5-day. Yeah. I mean, this thing has been going crazy here for 65. 1 month. It was at $55. Now it's done nicely here. 6 months was at $36, so basically 100% gain here in the last 6 months. Yeah, definitely doing really, really well there. All right, so we got any other questions? If not, we'll call it a day. Okay, Morton, fear of a second shutdown is rising plus strong GDP. Yeah, I mean, they got something through, what, middle of January, I think, is when the funding runs out or something like that. So they have to do another round at that point or pass a bill. Sam says silver exploding. Yeah, it's going up for sure. Ricky, do you think metal traders will rotate back into Bitcoin? I think they will. Right? They see good gains. They're going to take those gains and they're going to rotate into something else. Sean Law here. So are you looking at any new plays to enter next month? Any new plays? Nothing new. If we continue to dip here, which I don't think we will, but if we dip on these guys, IREN, Cypher, and others as well, I'll probably start to nibble again on those things. Dollar cost averaging some more on those. All right, Michael Satoshi, can silver and Bitcoin rally together? I mean, historically, Bitcoin has been the best performer here, so it's had its drawdowns and things like that, but overall, it has done the best, and I don't think that that's going to be. I mean, it could. I'm not saying that can't happen there. And then Uncle Satoshi here, government shutdown in January. I mean, there's a possibility of that, right? The government's funded until a certain date. I can't remember. It's like somewhere in the 20s, January 20th something. That's where the funding runs out for it. Canadian J or I, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. What else we got here? I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where things end up later on this week. We got the end of the year happening, end of the month as well. And then we got 2026, which I think is going to be a good year. I really do think it's going to be a good year. Will it be as good as we've seen already this year? I think it might be even better than that. All right. What are your thoughts on MSCI decision come the 15th? MSCI, which one is that one? Manufacturers, not that manufacturer, MSCI. I gotta look it up. Hold on. There's too many acronyms in this space. MSCI. The World Index on the 15th. MSC, is that the World Index that you're talking about there? The MSCI World Index is a widely recognized equity bench that tracks the performance of approximately 100. Okay, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, the MSCI Index. Let's see here. Or is that the one that, that's possibly going to take out, wait, that's the one that's thinking about taking out the companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet or are called the treasure companies, right? Is that it? What do I think is going to happen there? That I don't know. Right, those companies, I mean, there are some companies that are like treasure companies, but there's also other companies that have a business behind it, like Sailors. Strategy has a business behind it. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out for Strategy in particular. All right, Sam VN here. Do you think Bitfarms will go back to 6 by June? If they get a deal. If they get a deal for somebody, they announce a deal within the next 6 months, then yes, I could see that going back up there. Martin says, yeah, it's okay. MSCI, that's kind of where I thought so, yeah, as well. But yeah, Bitfarms, I think they should be valued higher than where they are right now. But overall, if they get a deal, I could see them being higher, even higher than $6 potentially. But depending on the deal, again. All right, talked about that one. Let's see, anything else? Going once, going twice? Nope. We're going to call it a day. 6:55 right now. Yeah. All right. Greatly appreciate you guys all for coming in here on, well, Sunday, spending a little time with me, giving your questions and thoughts and things. Greatly appreciate you as always. Couple more days to go in this year. We'll see where we end up at. I doubt Bitcoin's going to be in the green here, but it'd be nice to see it nonetheless. And then we'll see where we start out the first quarter of 2026. All right. That's it. Let's see. We got Kamikaze coming in here. One last one here. And we'll call it a night. All right. Let's see. Bitfarms will be $10 once Ben announces a deal. That's kind of my thoughts as well. Right? If they announce a great deal, then yeah, we could see that one running pretty quickly here. Sadie, you're always welcome, and thank you so much for coming in. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great Sunday night and a great rest of the year. And then we'll celebrate the new year when it happens next year. All right, I'll see you guys then. We got one more from Uncle Satoshi here. What are your thoughts on the miners that don't partner up with energy companies? Well, I mean, partner up how? Because you have a lot of these companies that have contracts in place for electricity right now as it is, right? So I'm not sure if you're talking about partnering, like becoming best buds or doing partnerships. I don't know that that's needed there. I think they can go into it their own routes. Also, we're obviously trying to, maybe with like SMR, small modular reactors. What else? I mean, can also do turbine, gas turbine, right? They could go things their own way, but yeah, I don't know. But we'll definitely see at that point. But I don't think it's needed, to be honest with you. I think as long as they have good electricity contracts, they don't really need to partner. But maybe they can partner with them, and maybe there is some benefit to it as well. All right, that's it. Love you all. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll cover whatever happens tomorrow and anything else. Until then, have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.